I've been encouraged to share my testimony for so many years. I was ashamed to share it. But a wise preacher once said, shared their testimony, and it's given me the courage to finally step out and share mine. I know that a lot of people on here have known me for years and have not shared my testimony completely. So I'm going to try to go fast. Okay, so at the age of 12, I started doing drugs, and I started doing meth. And fast forward to 17, I'm 98 pounds, I'm losing weight, I'm up for a week at a time. I'm so strung out on drugs that my family wants to court commit me to rehab. My brother's like, I don't know whether you're coming or going. And I lost my job of 5 years. I dropped out of high school. I probably was gonna die or go to prison just because 98 pounds losing weight up for weeks at a time. So I was really high on meth one night, and I ended up hearing this preacher on TV, Joel Osteen, and he felt like he was preaching right at me, and I was like, oh, it's kind of weird. So then I went and laid underneath the stars, all high, and I said, God, slowly but surely I'm coming to you. And I don't know why I prayed that at the time. I mean, I do now, but I didn't at the time. Then my best friend, and I didn't look like crap, sorry, because I was crying, but my best friend started going to church, and we did drugs together. And this was 6 months after I said that prayer. And she was happy all the time, and I was like, I don't know what you have, but I have to have what you have. And she just invited me to church. Well, long story short, I gave my heart to the Lord. That night, I went to church with her. Sorry if you can hear stomping. My neighbors are extremely loud. Okay, anyway. And so the youth leaders ended up, inviting me to live with them at their house to get clean and sober. They didn't know me from nothing, First time going to this church, invited me to live with them and work with her, do it in home daycare. God placed them people in my life that helped me, and I thank God that they were faithful. But so I'm going to church and serving God 6 months later. The federal government in a helicopter goes from the drug dealer's house and that I attended, and the kid got busted and followed him right up to one of my brother's best friends at that time's house. Excuse me. And the drug dealer went to prison for 10 years. This was 6 months after I gave my heart to the Lord. So when I say that God saved me, he saved me in the nick of time, because I was 98 pounds, losing weight. I was addicted to meth. I had a full-time job, and I worked just to support my drug habit. It was bad. And so I say all that to say, I gave my heart to the Lord. And my parents, I was the only one in my family that gave their heart to the Lord. So I was kind of like the black sheep, I guess, of the family. It's kind of funny because my mom called me Sister Christian growing up. And so she kind of spoke that right over me. But I gave my heart to the Lord and never looked back, I guess, so to speak. That was in 2001. And then, so then I'm single from 2001 to 2011. I'm single, I'm celibate, I'm serving God with all my heart. First guy that comes along, oh, I'm a Christian, I go to church. He was not a Christian, and he did not attend church like he said. I had a few people tell me not to marry him, but I did because, this is the one, he loves me. I didn't listen, and I paid for it from 2011 till 2021. We were together, so 10 years. I served him dinner. He hocked a loogie in my face. He would get drunk and kick me, and he broke a Tupperware storage container over my head. I was gushing blood to my friend's house and said I fell down the stairs. My brother, who was in and out of prison his whole life, would beat dudes up, knock their teeth out when I was growing up, little girl, So I know that if I told him that he, he would have beat him up. But, I was embarrassed. I didn't want to share. I didn't want to tell anybody that. And the mental abuse that I'm fat and lazy. I don't do anything. Just, all of it, and after but I said, God, I took vows, and I didn't want to leave. But 2021 on Mother's Day, I can remember it so clearly. He threatened my life, and a couple months before that, we had gotten guns, because it was right after COVID, and he kind of just went a little out there. And he got guns, and Mother's Day, he threatened to kill me, and I knew that if I didn't get out, I was gonna die. I was gonna die, because the abuse was so bad, and I didn't tell anybody. And I'm just was the scum of the earth and worthless, and anyway. And so a couple weeks later, I planned my exit strategy and packed up my son, and I went to a domestic violence shelter. Lived in the same town as my family and stuff, and I really didn't have people to stay with, so I moved in the domestic violence shelter, and I thank God for that place. And then I guess I started over in 2020. I stayed there for about 4 months. You're only supposed to stay there a couple weeks, but I stayed there 4 months. And I got a story about my son too. And then through the marriage, I had 5 miscarriages. I think it was from all the abuse and stress. And then I had my junior, and the doctor said, we don't know why he's alive with the blood sugar too, and with the amount of brain damage, he should be a vegetable. And I looked at that doctor in the eye, and he said he had a meeting at the board of directors at the hospital. And I said, because this mama prayed, because I stood on God's word and I prayed. So, yeah. And so my son's a little miracle baby. And so if you're fighting domestic violence, please reach out. If you're addiction, there's a whole backstory, but I won't get into the gory details. But I prayed for my dad to serve God, and it was 10 years. I said, Dad, you got to know where you're going before you get there. And I just tell him, and 3 days before he passed away, I said, Dad, do you want the pastor to come pray? And he did. He came up and prayed. He received Jesus. And then he looked at me and said, I thought I did so much bad in the world that nobody could forgive me and let it go, God. But I showed him the unconditional love of God for 10 years. And I just told him that I loved him and gave him that grace and forgiveness that nobody showed him, Unfortunately, that's who I am in life, I forgive too much, and I'm kind, and people eat me alive. Because takers, they take, and givers and forgivers like me, I forgive too much and I love too much. But the thing about being broken by so many people in my life, I will still love with a big, big heart. I'm not perfect by any means. I'm not. But my love is the one that God has taught me. But anyway, I guess I'm rambling. But I got the courage from a pretty respectable person that gave me the strength to testify about my drug use and what God has delivered me from. And I bet you 90% of my people in my life don't know that, because I was ashamed, because I worked with kids and I love kids, but I was growing up in that life that, I was taught, and I didn't know any better. But 18 years old, I gave it all up. I was no longer a drug dealer or an addict. 20 years clean and sober, So God can do it. He did it for me. He can do it for anybody. But if you are too ashamed to get out, please just reach out. There's places like I think it's like Safe Place or something, like 1-800-SAFE PLACE or something for domestic violence. A website you can go to with like local places, or tell your best friend or somebody. I think after 9 years, I finally told my best friend of everything that went on. So yeah, but I'm now a single mom raising a special needs child, and working on the potty training, working on getting off the feeding tube, and the seizures. He has what's called Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, which is a severe form of epilepsy. And I'm just believing God that God's going to do some big miracles in his life and heal him. And at the moment, he's nonverbal, but I'm believing with all my heart that God is going to heal that little boy. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. And yeah, that's my testimony. I hope everybody has a great day. Love you guys. Bye.